And once again, you have decided to jump back into this little curriculum we like to call Jimmy Jam Sessions and continue our top 5 series. We do appreciate you as we are hanging out with those bad boys in Sunrise, suburban Miami, suburban Fort Lauderdale, because today we're doing the Florida Panthers, the Paul Heyman way of saying it, the reigning, defending, undisputed Stanley Cup champions, Florida Panthers. But before we go on to it, as always, if you haven't hung out with me and hung out with all our stories, there is that thing. It is called a subscribe button. Definitely hit that if you want to be noticed of anything new that's going on, whether it's our series, whether we do some funkadelic food reviews, some crazy stuff or hot takes and whatever, and our down the road podcast. We do appreciate you. We do variety on this show. So today we are doing the undisputed reigning champions, the Florida Panthers. Not a lot to go by, but every time we do a thing on here, I do try to do my best and try to put together some homework. And we do this through the lovable thing from the interweb that we call the NHL Uniform Database. This is a cool thing if you want to get a little bit of knick-knack knowledge of you. It shows all the templates and all the time frames of all the jerseys that were worn. Get you a little sidetrack of some news over here. And gets a little funkadelic if you want to have some nice going hockey trivia, if you will. Now, we do the Florida Panthers. We're doing every team down the line. And we can never forget, the Panthers came in 1993-94. They were one of those hot things of wondering if hockey was going to work in Florida. It worked in Tampa. So here we are. We're doing in Florida, and they played in the old Miami Arena back in the days, and everyone was wondering about that time they went to the Stanley Cup in '96, and when they took on Colorado, but got swept in 4. But it was a fun time. But that's where pretty much it came, where the world famous meme of the rats, and everyone was wondering where that came from. Well, the myth was, in fact, a fact that they found rats in the old Miami Arena locker room, and people found out about it. And every time they scored a goal, they threw rats on the ice. That's kind of where that went. And then you got goaltenders hiding in their cage, waiting until everything was cleared out. It was a pretty fun thing, and they still do it to this day in the new building. So they were in Miami Arena for a while. Then they moved to the new building in Sunrise, which is, like I said, suburban Fort Lauderdale and Miami area. And it was called the FAL Live Arena, and it's now what is it called? Amerant Bank Arena, which is their local bank in South Florida. So not a lot to go by, but when you see some of these trips, you see some of these outfits on there wasn't a lot of changeover. But again, we try not to judge anything, because during the time when Florida came into the league in 93-94, and it's kind of the same thing with Tampa and Ottawa, you get into that run where they're at the last edge of pro players, starter, CCM, and they started throwing some of these nifty things, and you get some of the old jerseys, even this one with the broken stick that the cat is flying through. And the modern basic thing is they wanted to highlight something of the cat. So they wanted to highlight the cat, and the cat is a big thing. The Florida Panthers, actually, their state animal, and that's why they wanted to go. That's why I wanted to go that direction. And always loved some of the jerseys they have put out. There was the old John Van Beesbrook days, and just all those crazy people that played in the league back then. But that changeover was also weird when it went from that changeover from Reebok Edge to the Adidas line. There was all that under the arm, the side of the waist, all that different trim that changed over. But it was also a different, as we see some different types here, it was that changeover from Reebok to the Adidas brand. They even went to this. They went to the blue, this two-tone blue thing with the navy blue and the baby blue, and it was really, really toned. It was really different. It was when the old different design work started coming in from Reebok going into Adidas, it started changing everything over. And Florida has that really unique color scheme with the red, white, and blue, and a tad full of gold with the cat, and that's what they wanted to settle at. And the team was actually pretty darn good on occasion. And then had a couple down years, and then had a couple of years that they started opening the checkbook when the old owner, Wayne Huizenga, was the owner. He was also owner of the Dolphins at the time, same person who bought that team. Now the ownership is definitely different, and the ownership has worked out well because we're seeing a winner on the ice because Florida is a hotbed and the Panthers are not going anywhere. They're not moving that team till probably 2025, or excuse me, 2045, 2043, if I remember exactly. It's how long they have the lease for the arena. So let's show you top five here. What I gave you some honorable mentions, and I'll just go right to number five, and I'll just go to the second reverse retro. If I remember, this was the second one. And I'm not gonna. And then when I do these, let's just be realistic. These can go. My top five. I could mix all five of them in all five, and it wouldn't even make a difference. They were all good, and especially with Florida, with the baby blue and that blue trim with the baby blue that had that awkward one that we showed you, with the round symbol. That was kind of the influence for this one with the palm tree and the sun. This one did extremely well. To be quite honest, both reverse retros did really, really well. It was this one here, and it took off because everybody loved the red numbers on them as well. And I go to number, and I'll even get to the second one in a second because I'll go number four, and I'll just go the distinct with the home jersey. The home jersey and the road, I could jumble them. It wouldn't matter. They're the two, you could say they're two identical jerseys. They are not, because if you obviously know, the home jersey says Panthers, the road jersey says Florida. Little distinction, little trivia question if you want to jump on. But the torso stripe in the middle that Minnesota uses, Montreal uses, when you have that badge logo, when they went to the badge logo with that cat on it, I mean, I can't even tell you which one I like. If I like that one or I like this, but I will always remember the leaping cat, no question. But when they went to these jerseys, they stood out and they picked up hardcore. And the font on these jerseys with the number font and nameplate are phenomenal. Love them. Excellent work. I will go to number three. And like I said about the reverse retro, I go to the first one. This was the, if you remember the one that we showed you before, it was kind of the inspiration. If you go back to a couple of them, which we'll go back and might as well just go back with them together. And if you remember correctly, they get a couple of those different design words, except for the broken stick in the middle. But this is where they got the inspiration for the reverse retro, and they also kind of went. Actually, almost went with the blue at part-time for a third jersey, or actually they almost used it as a starter for. Boy, it was just a tough case because all they did was basically reverse the numbers down the bottom, or excuse me, the stripes. It's been a long day already, but changed up the stripes, changed up the angle of the arms with a little tad of that gold. You basically didn't even need shoulder logos onto that. But this was a phenomenal jersey. Wish I could have found it, but if you look at it now, you can cop it, but it's going to be a fake one, or it's going to be $500, right up there with some of the biggest reverse retros out there. Such a tight one. It was definitely one of the best ones. I'll go to number two, and I'll just go to the white one. I mean, I went with the one I got the red one. I really liked it, but the Florida one, I just throw this at number two, only just because it's not just because it's the road jersey. The font, it's blue numbers with a gold outline. It looks amazing on it. The patches on the side look excellent. When they were playing in the Stanley Cup, all the patches were a little jumbled, but Fanatics needs to fix that, and why put ads on the jerseys? I have no idea. But the white jersey is amazing. I got the red because it was available in my size, but we cannot go wrong with number one. And I'm just going to go it's almost like a tie. I'm just going with the original red and the original white, the old school John Van Beesbrook days. I'm trying to remember some of the other players that were there, but I mean, there were so many. There's so many to go down, and I'm trying to remember of half of them. But I remember the cat. This is what I remember. The old pro player starter days. And maybe I should probably just use the red as my number one. The cat stands out, and that's what I remember. And I give the Florida Panthers credit because they're just keeping to their identity of keep the red. They don't use as much blue as they used to, but it's the Florida Panthers. They're staying in South Florida. There's got themselves, as always, I say it on this thing all the time, an identity, and that's just what I remember. And they have a fan base that's not going anywhere. You think you can't do a lot of things in Miami? They're getting the Winter Classic coming up next season, and it's going to be in the Marlins ballpark because I mean, I'll give them credit, and this is going to sell. It's just another thing that Gary Bettman's got to fix. You don't want to have the Winter Classic on at the same time the college football playoff is on, and they'll make it work in Lone Depot Park where the Marlins play. But you give credit. The Florida Panthers are a brand. They had a fantastic Stanley Cup with the Oilers. And it's in a market. Yes, it's not a hockey market, but they filled that arena and they've got loyal people and loyal fans down in South Florida. What do you remember of the Florida Panthers? Which one was your favorite? Do you remember some of the players back then? And if you had a jersey, put it in a comment in. As I am getting my butt out of here because I've got stuff to do, and I'm sure you do too. I'm going to shut the bar down, and next time I see you, I think I might even jump off the sidetrack and go to Hartford and do. They said I was going to do one with the Whalers coming up, and I will do that eventually. So until then, the bar is closed, and I will see each and every you bloody legends in the next one. And yeah, this guy right here. This is who I remember. This is the Florida Panthers. I remember. He's going to jump at you, and we're going to end this show. I'll see you guys on the next one.